It is Locked On NBA Game Night for the night of Tuesday, April 8th. Coming up, we get a couple of potential playoff previews. The Lakers face the Thunder, but the refs might have spoiled the ending. And we got a fun one in New York where the Knicks push the Celtics to overtime, plus a wild finish in Milwaukee.
When that final buzzer rings, you know it's time for Locked On NBA Game Night. All the post-game reactions to every game across the league, every single night, with insights only the hosts at Locked On can provide. It's the true NBA fans' one stop for all the action. Every game, every night. It's Locked On NBA Game Night. Tipping off now.
All right, welcome to Locked On NBA Game Night. Every game, every night in 30 minutes. Wes Goldberg here with Tony East. However, you're tuning in on YouTube or your favorite podcast app. Thanks for making Locked On NBA your first listen every day. Got a great show for you today. We're going to get to our takeaways from a fun Celtics-Knicks game that went into overtime, plus a wild comeback by the Milwaukee Bucks. But let's start in Oklahoma City, where the Thunder and the Lakers played their second game in 3 nights. The Lakers got the blowout win on Sunday, but the Thunder replied with a big win of their own on Tuesday. The Thunder end up winning by 16, but don't let that fool you. This game was competitive up until the refs ejected Luka Doncic with 7 minutes left in the game. The Lakers were leading by 1 at the time. Luka, it looked like he had hit a jumper, and then it looked like he was jawing with somebody sitting courtside. Maybe the ref thinks that it was directed at him. He throws him out of the game. Luka had already picked up a technical earlier in that game. And then the Lakers just unraveled after that. LeBron James actually talked about it after the game.
That interaction, and how did that impact the rest of the game?
Yes. It was a weird couple minutes after that. Starting with the ejection. I don't know why the ref was taking it personal. He had already gave Luka one, and Luka knew that. And Luka was going back and forth at that time with the fan who was sitting courtside like Luka does, and the fans get to talk shit, talk out of their mind, whatever the case may be, and Luka was going back and forth, and the ref took it upon himself to think it was, verse him or whatever the case may be. But then another tee on Vando after a block shot, and the game was just weird as hell after that moment.
So Tony, LeBron says that the game got weird after that moment. How do you think that affected the game, and what do you think about how this one ended?
Yeah, look, if it's clear the guy's not talking to you, don't eject him. What the hell? This happens multiple times this season in the NBA. It has never, ever once made sense to me. And even it would not make you look bad as a ref if you call the tech, you realize he wasn't talking to you, and then you immediately say, my bad, and take it away. Like, that would make you look good. If anything, you're like assessing the situation on the fly and changing it. So dumb. Luka crushed the Thunder 2 days ago. Clearly it affected the game. He was amazing against those guys. And the game was fairly close until OKC pulled away late-ish in the game. There's a lot we can say about this game. Clearly the three-point shooting from the Thunder swinging after the Lakers were on fire 2 days ago is a big factor in this, and all sorts of other little things happen. But it just drives me crazy, especially when it's the guys that a lot of people are there to see, that this kind of stuff happens when it's clearly just not the intent of what's happening. And it would make you look like a bigger man to me to go back and say, my bad. Like, you just changed a whole NBA game on your own interpretation. It's wrong. It's so frustrating to me.
And I think you could tell when these guys are just sort of complaining to complain and then really mean it, and look, part of this is Luka kind of brings it on himself, right? He does a lot of trash talking, and sometimes, you kind of,
yes,
it's sort of like a boy cried wolf type of situation there. But Luka or LeBron went up to the ref. Another guy, somebody else went up to the ref. JJ Redick was going up to the ref. Everybody was basically telling the official, hey, you made a real big mistake here. And you're right. I think in that moment, that should be even reviewable or something. I don't know. And something that's important. I imagine if this was a playoff game, that would be potentially a huge deal that could swing a series, which could swing the who wins the championship in a season. So
it's like it's on video. We can see the fan stand up in the crowd. Like, it's so obvious what's happening. It's like, how is this the Alchemist? The fan went on the record to Dave McMenamin, like, yeah, this happens all the time. I've talked to Luka in games before. It's like, holy, what are we doing? What are we doing?
It's a lame way, and it's a bummer of a way for this to end, because the game was so much fun, and it was like this rematch after the Sunday game. But I want to zoom out a little bit. So the Thunder get blown out by the Lakers on Sunday. They respond. They win this game. But do you have any big takeaways between the Sunday, the Tuesday games, between what could be a matchup in the playoffs?
Maybe. I think that my biggest thing is that the same things that everybody's kind of been sprinkling in here and there about OKC's weaknesses, with size in particular, are relevant here. And I'm not like the Lakers are smaller than they used to be, obviously, with Anthony Davis, but they still just play huge. They have a center on the floor. LeBron's big, Luka's big for his position, Finney Smith is big, Vando's big, Connect's big. They didn't even have a couple of guys on the wing in this game. Like, they have enough size that yes, the Thunder have these two centers that play well together, but outside of those two, they have a lot of guys who are like stocky, I would say, but not tall for their position, or don't really play huge, if that makes any sense. And so over a course of a game like this, and what we saw 2 games ago, that size can be tough on them. Like, I think last year that was a big talking point. Everyone's like, oh, the Lakers could beat the Thunder in the first round if they get them because of their size. And that was stupid. They wouldn't have. But regardless, that it's been a thing for the Thunder for years. And I'm not saying it was like, that's the part of this that intrigues me the most, is like, it's been just disruptive enough that it makes me go, okay, size will be the key to beating the Thunder. The question is, can you play enough skilled size that you don't get destroyed in every other way? Because this Thunder team is so good at so much other stuff. And that's what happened in this game, where like Shai goes crazy again, and Lou Dort makes threes, and J-Dub has a nice night. It's like, okay, screw your size. We're so good it doesn't matter. But like that is my thought with the Thunder, is I still think they're the heavy favorites to come out of the West. But this is like the air quotes blueprint on what a team that could beat them looks like.
Right, and on Sunday, the Lakers hit 1,000,000 three-pointers and blow out the Thunder in that game. And in this game, they also hit 1,000,000 three-pointers. They hit as many three-pointers in the first half in this game as they did on Sunday. They end up shooting 45% on 43-point attempts, so they're getting a bunch of them up, and they're making a lot of them. And that's why I think this game was close, and why the Lakers had a chance to win this game again. And that's another thing. Like the Thunder give up a lot of three-pointers. And that kind of variance could be a little scary in a 7-game series, especially against a team like the Lakers, who are really great at creating really good three-pointers. Luka Doncic and LeBron James in particular are 2 of the best in the league at creating wide-open looks for their teammates. I think the reason why the Thunder ended up winning this game was they got a big game from Jalen Williams, 26 points for him. He was bad in the Sunday game. He bounced back in a big way in this Tuesday game. He is going to be so important for Oklahoma City. As great as Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is and has been, and is, he's probably going to win the MVP here. They're going to need a second guy in the playoffs. They're just going to need a second guy to step up, and it's probably going to have to be Jalen Williams. He stepped up in this game. The Thunder get the win, but I mean, I'm telling you, all eyes are on that guy in the postseason.
Last year, that was their problem, right? Like, I'm not saying Shai was amazing against Dallas and that seriously lost or anything, but he was good enough that had they been even or competitive in the minutes without him, or J-Dub was good, it would have looked at, or even Chet, like whoever you consider Banana 2, which I think most people would say is J-Dub, but still Chet's really good. Mm-hmm. Like whoever you consider Banana 2 for the Thunder to be, they were not good enough when Shai was off the floor to the point that they couldn't do it. And in this game, they were great with Shai off the floor. They actually were +9 without Shai on the floor. Like, you're just going to win, right? That's how it's going to go. And so obviously it's easier for them to have like a loaded lineup without Shai on the floor. Still, they're a very good team, but that was a big problem for them last year. So having that tactical advantage and having J-Dub being a better player, all-star level player, will matter a lot. And if he has games like this, especially when he's leading these bench-led units or just unique units with like Caruso and Casey Wallace, and it's like, how are we going to score? That is their ticket to being a much higher level up from last year's playoffs, I think.
Yeah, I think the Lakers also were able to match Oklahoma City's physicality. This game had a playoff-type atmosphere. I thought the Sunday one did for the most part until it kind of ended up being a blowout. But you look at the free throw attempts that the Lakers have, right? They're constantly getting to the line. That's a really great. Oklahoma City's whole thing is, hey, we're going to get more possessions than you. We're going to get more shot attempts than you because we're going to steal the ball a bunch of times. But if you have 2 genius passers in LeBron and Luka, you're just not going to get as many steals. They only had 9 in this game, which is below Oklahoma City's average for the season, and they didn't get that many on Sunday either. They did get way more shot attempts, more field goal attempts in this game, in part because of the offensive rebounds. They had 15 offensive rebounds in this game, but the Lakers didn't get crushed on the rebounding numbers, and they took 37 free throws in this game, and that's with Luka getting ejected before the final 7 minutes. So that's a way for the Lakers to keep. I think this would be a absolutely fascinating playoff series if we see these two teams meet in the playoffs in the Western Conference. But more to get to on this fun night of Tuesday hoops. We saw the comeback that nobody saw coming, a wild one in Milwaukee. We're going to talk about that, plus a fun overtime game between the Celtics and the Knicks at Madison Square Garden. We'll get to all that next year on Locked On NBA Game Night. Today's episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. Taking care of your mental health is just as important as taking care of your physical health, but traditional in-person therapy can be expensive, often ranging from $100 to $250 per session. That's where BetterHelp comes in. With online therapy, you get quality care at a price that makes sense, saving you time and money. Therapy isn't just for life's toughest moments. It can help with everyday stress, learning how to set boundaries, or developing positive coping skills. Having access to support when you need it can make a big difference. Your well-being is worth it. Visit BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnNBA. Thanks again for making Locked On NBA Game Night your first listen every day. The best way to support the show is to subscribe on YouTube and on your favorite podcast app. Let's go to Madison Square Garden where the Celtics beat the Knicks in overtime. Here's John Corrales from Locked On Celtics with more.
Boston Celtics win a wild one in New York City in overtime. Jason Tatum hits the game-tying shot in regulation, a deep three-pointer. Kristaps Porzingis got things started in the third quarter for the Celtics with a monster third, hitting 4-4 from three. Drew Holiday was solid in the third quarter as well and down the stretch, giving the Celtics a solid, steady hand. Tatum did his heroic things as usual, but the Celtics were not their best in this game. They were out-rebounded 52-38. They gave up 23 second-chance points. They gave up 22 points off of 15 turnovers. They were not sharp. Jaylen Brown was very much not himself because of that knee issue. Derek White was very much not himself, shooting 4 of 12 from three. The Celtics still managed, though, to get this win in overtime. This is the best road record in Celtics history. If they win in Orlando on the back-to-back, they'll tie for the best road record in NBA history. That's a big thing for the Celtics heading into the playoffs, knowing that they have home court advantage for all but the conference finals and potentially the NBA finals. They still have confidence that they can win on the road.
So you can look at this one of two ways. You could see the positives for the Celtics. Hey, you didn't play that well. Jaylen Brown obviously still bothered. Derek White still bothered. But Kristaps Porzingis came out, made 8 3-pointers, the go-ahead three-pointer in this game. You didn't play your best game, but you still got the win against a good team on the road. You could also see the negative side of this and say, the Knicks kind of took it to us, and maybe they found some vulnerabilities in us. Where are you on this, Tony?
Yeah, this is the thing for the Knicks all year, right? They've been good. They have a good record. They demolish teams that they should beat, and they're just like so close, but cannot get that big win. Everybody remembers the game in LA they were so close on, and this one, the same thing, going to overtime. But they keep getting just a little closer, like keep stressing teams out a little bit more, right? I feel like they were so close to this one, a huge Tatum shot. The second Tatum created space, I was like, oh, he's going to make it, right? Yeah. But a huge Tatum shot to send this one to overtime. This was as close as they've gotten, where, like, they weren't even that great. Like, Brunson was pretty good. Cat was sensational, I thought. But, like, no, I didn't feel like their starting five was so great. Their bench was, like, okay. And it made me think, wow, if they just, like, click a little bit, they can keep up in these games. And then you're like, oh, yeah, the Celtics are playing for nothing. Jaylen Brown very conveniently played 1 minute over the minimum required for him to get closer to 65 games. That's weird. It's like, maybe this is great for the Knicks. Like, I actually can't, if I'm the Knicks, I'm coming away feeling like, oh, good. Like, we're probably going to play this team in the second round. We can do it, right? We can win some games. If we get hot, we can win the series. But at the same time, Boston, I kind of think both teams will walk away smiling and being like, yep, we feel good about this, which is a strange way to look at it.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. If I'm the Knicks, I feel really good coming away from this game despite the loss. I think what you figured out if you're New York is we got to play through Karl Anthony Towns. He was the best player on the court for most of this game, and I thought his physicality really dominated. It never really felt like Boston could get a handle on how to defend him, even with Porzingis in this game. Now, no Al Horford in this one for Boston, so maybe that's something. But, I do think that Karl-Anthony Towns presents a tough matchup for them regardless. Like, you don't want to stress Horford at 38 years old. You don't want to stress Kristaps Porzingis with his injury history, with having to guard Cat consistently. And he was dominant. I thought New York, they dominated the points in the paint in this one. They really did well on the boards. That, to me, I think the Knicks kind of built themselves to be sort of Boston Celtics light over the offseason. But what they have that maybe Boston doesn't, or at least showed that they had in this game that Boston didn't have, was that extra bit of physicality. And I think that's really what you got to do to take it to Boston. Still would probably take the Celtics or I still would take the Celtics in that series. But if you're the Knicks, you walk away and you're like, okay, maybe this is a soft point that we could poke at a little bit if we do meet these teams, or we do meet this team in the playoffs. Let's move on to Milwaukee. A wild game. The Bucks were trailing by double digits for most of this game. And I got to be honest, Tony, I was watching Lakers, Thunder, Knicks, Celtics. I look over at the Bucks and they're losing. And I'm like, okay, they're losing by a lot. That's fine. All of a sudden, I look over at the score again. They're winning in the fourth quarter. A 24-point comeback for the Milwaukee Bucks. A total collapse by the Timberwolves. The Bucks end this game on a 39-8 run. Here's Camille Davis from Locked On Bucks with more on what went down.
I'm Camille Davis with Locked On Bucks, and what a game. The Bucks completed the largest comeback of the season for this team, coming back from being down 24 points to get a victory over the Timberwolves. I believe it was a 40-13 fourth quarter for the Bucks. They had a crazy run where they scored like 23 unanswered points. Just an amazing performance from the Milwaukee Bucks, led in large part by the group that closed the game for them. Kevin Porter Jr., probably the best game that he has had in a Bucks uniform so far. The stat sheet might not show it, but the impact that he made defensively and offensively was huge for this Bucks team. 4 steals in the fourth quarter for KPJ. Giannis, another triple-double, third straight triple-double for Giannis. Big game from him. Down the stretch there, AJ Green, Kevin Porter Jr., Gary Trent Jr., Bobby Portis Jr., all the juniors, and Giannis closed this game in a remarkable fashion. What a win for the Bucks, who have now won their 5th straight game. One more win plus the Pistons loss equals that 5th seed guaranteed for the Bucks.
Do you want to do the thing, Tony, where we ask, did the Bucks win or did the Timberwolves lose this game?
The answer is really obvious, I think. So we can do that. Yes, the Timberwolves lost. If you're up 24 in the fourth quarter, you effed it up. Like, it's on you. All you got, you could deflate the ball at that point with 10 minutes to go. And even if you play awful and generate terrible shots because you're just pounding air out of the ball and getting terrible possessions, you should still be up like 10 with 5 minutes to go, right? Like, you have to have a calamity of just tripping all over yourself. And that's exactly what they did for an entire quarter. There are points that broke the run from the Bucks was because of a technical foul. Like, they didn't even do anything to actually score. It was embarrassing for them. And it's like the story of their season. Every time I'm like, oh, look at that. The Wolves have figured something out. This thing's looking better for them. Something stupid happens and they get in their own way. And so maybe they're good, but it's like, how can this keep happening? It's so weird. They should be way better than this.
I hate to put it on all on Anthony Edwards, and I swear I'm not doing that. But he goes 0 for 4 in the fourth quarter while Giannis is doing his thing. He's outplayed by Kevin Porter Jr. in that fourth quarter. Those 4 shots that he missed, all 4 of them, 3-pointers. Anthony Edwards, why are you taking so many threes when your team is up 20-plus points? What are we doing here? It feels like he turned the ball over a couple times. I love Ant, man. Like, I really I love watching this guy play. And when he's at his best, it just feels like he could do things that nobody else in the league can do. But his lows might be worse than other guys that we talk about in sort of the top 10 player in the league conversation. And this was an example of that. And I think that's sort of why I just can't get over the top. I think it's why Minnesota just can't figure it out. The thing that you're talking about, Tony, is every time it feels like they're taking a step forward, they take a step back. I think their floor is just so much lower than these other teams that we're talking about.
I agree. And especially when, like, you're up this much, you shoot anyway. The Bucks had like bench players on the floor for the fourth quarter, and you got to give Doc Rivers credit for, like, screw it, I'm riding with these guys. They've been way better than the starters. It was literally Giannis in the bench, and they were way, like, obviously the scoreboards. That's it. They were way better than the Wolves for that. Like, I guess you deserve credit for being up 24 against a good team on the road, but, like, you can't be that bad for that long, like, ever, right? And at some point, that's on you. and it's obviously on them in this one. And I feel bad shortchanging the Bucks, Kevin. This is like the third game in a row I've watched the Bucks late. They played in Miami and New Orleans, where it's like a close game late, and Kevin Porter's really good, right? Giannis with a triple-double. Like Bobby Portis is back, giving him decent minutes. Like maybe this is all great for the Bucks, but it's like they shouldn't have even had a chance, and they did.
They did. Giannis, by the way, still just the MVP numbers are insane. The guy is definitely going to be third in MVP voting at this point. I don't know how you would vote anybody else. I mean, it's sort of a shame that it's, I don't know, being wasted here in Milwaukee. They've won a bunch of games in a row here, but that guy's just playing out of his mind. We're going to wrap up the rest of tonight's games, including a couple of games with major implications on the Eastern Conference standings after this. Today's episode is brought to you by Robinhood Gold. With Robinhood Gold, you can now enjoy the VIP treatment, receiving a 3% IRA match on retirement contributions. The privileges of the very privileged are no longer exclusive. With Robinhood Gold, your annual IRA contributions are boosted by 3%. Plus, you also get 4% APY on your cash in non-retirement accounts. That's over 8 times the national savings average. The perks of the high net worth are now available for any net worth. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. To receive your 3% boost on annual IRA contributions, sign up at Robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. Rates subject to change. 3% match requires Robinhood Gold at $5 a month for 1 year from the first match. Must keep funds in IRA for 5 years. Go to Robinhood.com/boost. Over 8 times the national average savings account interest rate claim is based on data from the FDIC as of November 18th, 2024. Robinhood Financial LLC, member SIPC. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold LLC. We'll be right back. Thanks for tuning into Locked On NBA Game Night. Every game, every night. Let's zoom through the rest of the night's games. We're going to start in Indiana, where the Pacers got an easy win over the Wizards, but maybe not so easy. Tony, you were there. What stood out to you in this one?
The Wizards becoming the Raptors for like the third or fourth straight game where they're playing well. They were up 14 in the third quarter. Pacers a chance to clinch home court tonight. Had the Bucks lost, they would have. The Pacers won. They deserve credit. Tyrese Halliburton was better in the fourth quarter. He had 22 points. That's great. Pascal Siakam had 24 points. That's great. They won because they figured out how to make some threes. They also won because the Wizards had Alex Sarr, who was cooking, plus 16 with 20 and 12 and 6 assists. Jordan Poole had 19 points on 14 shots. Justin Champagnie had 20 points on 13 shots. They didn't close the game. They closed the game with a bunch of bench players because they don't want to win. No Poole, no Sarr late, and JT Thor minus 30 closes the game at center. The Pacers won because they made shots and deserved to win late. They also won because the Wizards were like, nah, we don't care. I hate this, Wes. I hate it.
They've won 5 in a row, though.
The Pacers are playing well. Like they do deserve credit for that. They got a huge win in Denver that maybe got Mike Malone fired, but like it just frustrates me to no end that teams can get away with this. But yes, Tyrese Halliburton rounding into form. Siakam's back from injury. I mean, they're clicking at the right time for the second year in a row. But hey, Giannis has like averaging a triple-double this month. That could be a very fun first-round series.
Let's go to Orlando, where the Magic beat the Hawks in a close game with plenty at stake. Let's go to Locked On Magic's Philip Rossman-Reich with more.
This is Philip Rossman-Reich, the host of Locked On Magic here at the Kia Center as the Orlando Magic defeat the Atlanta Hawks 119-112, taking full control over the Southeast Division, the 7 seed, whatever is left to play here in this regular season. And of course, that's not where the Magic want to be, but the Magic have been trying to be the team that they always thought they could be. I mean, it's at the end of the day, we know what this team's potential was and what they're falling short of at the end of the day. No one's celebrating being the 7 seed necessarily, but the Orlando Magic needed to prove themselves once again. They got a big playoff test here in a game against a team directly beneath them in the standings, a game that could have very well turned their season one way or the other here in this final week. And Orlando stepped up by 6 in the fourth quarter. They came up with play after play after play, both on offense and on defense especially, to make sure that they came out with the win. This is exactly what you have to do in the playoffs. This was a playoff test. This was a test of this team's mettle and their ability to close games out in big pressure situations. Paolo Banchero had 30-plus points. Franz Wagner had 20. Wendell Carter had a huge game. Everybody that needed to step up and make plays made those plays, and that's what playoff basketball is about. The Orlando Magic are now just 1 win or 1 Hawks loss away from clinching the Southeast Division and winning the 7 seed and a home game next week here at the Kia Center.
Big stuff for the Orlando Magic. 2 wins ahead of Atlanta. Looks like they have their hands firmly around that 7th seed there.
Wes, Hold on.
Yes.
I have an NBA take that the Magic are going to have this year. If you win your division with an under 500 record, You should have to hang a very sad banner next to your real division championships. Congrats to Paolo. He's playing great. This is sad. This is stupid. This is not a real division title. Congrats to Magic. That was a nice win.
The Southeast Division used to be so good, and now it is so bad. They should just name the play-in tournament the Southeast Division Open, because that's what it's been for 3 years.
You get to play. Let's go.
Let's go to Cleveland, where the Cavs took care of the Bulls to clinch the #1 seed in the East. Here's Danny Cunningham from Locked On Cavs with more.
Danny Cunningham here at Rocket Arena after the Cleveland Cavaliers beat the Chicago Bulls 135-113. Let's talk about this one. 494 feet. The Cavs are now the #1 seed in the Eastern Conference for the 4th time in franchise history. The first time they've done this since 2016. Yes, the year of the franchise's only NBA championship. Cavs has now won 63 games this year, something that I would be lying to you if I saw coming. I don't think anyone on this team really saw coming. Darius Garland said he expected the team to be a top 2 seed this year. Evan Mobley thought the same. Kenny Atkinson didn't think that they would be this good in the regular season. They obviously have championship aspirations, but tonight is a night for the Cavs that is certainly worth celebrating. This is a big accomplishment. As I mentioned, only been done 4 times in franchise history. They still can tie the franchise record for most wins in the season with 66 if they win the remaining 3 games. Don't know if that's going to happen, but tonight was a really big night for this franchise. As far as the actual game goes, Darius Garland had 28 points. He hit 6 threes. It's the best game he's had in a little while. Kenny Atkinson said he felt like he needed to see Darius get his swag back a little bit, and I think Darius certainly accomplished that. So if this is the last time we see Darius and the starters, we don't know about Donovan Mitchell. Kenny Atkinson said just a mild ankle sprain. We don't know who we're going to see the rest of the year, but if we don't see the starters play important minutes the rest of the way, this is a good note to leave off on. Cavs play in Indy on Thursday, and I will talk to you after that.
Tony, you'll be there. Should the Cavs rest their starters the rest of the way?
I think they could go for it one more game. They still technically could get home court in the finals, specifically, I think, if they win out and the Thunder lose out. But that's not worth pushing for. I don't think you risk injury with that in mind. So I probably would if I were them.
Is the #1 seed an accomplishment the way that Danny was talking about? I guess it is. I mean, it's fun. I don't know that if you lose even in the Eastern Conference Finals, you're walking away and you're like, well, at least we're the
specifically
#1
being
seed.
like, yeah, we're the 1 seed. Nah, it doesn't mean anything. Winning 63 games and being like, oh wow, we're awesome. Like that is, I didn't see this coming. Like he said, right? They deserve a lot of credit. Like all of their all-stars have been better than I thought this year, right? And they deserve a ton of credit for that.
They do. But let's go to Charlotte. A scary moment in Charlotte. Jalen Wells had to be stretchered out after taking a hard fall during the Grizzlies' win over the Hornets. Really, really ugly stuff. Fortunately, though, he does seem to be doing well at the hospital, according to reports. He is expected to make a full recovery. There's a wrist injury, but man, considering what it could have been, or what it looked like, it could have been so much worse. Here's Joe Mullinex from Locked On Grizzlies with more on the win.
The Memphis Grizzlies were dropping bombs left and right on the Charlotte Hornets. It was almost as if a grenade was being thrown across the arena, bomb after bomb,
the
bucket
new Ja
after
Morant
bucket.
Sully.
Memphis wins by double digits in Charlotte. I'm Joe Mullinex of Locked On Grizzlies, and if you note some bomb puns fun happening there, it's because Ja Morant has a new celebration, doesn't want to get in trouble with the league, doesn't want to pay any more fines. No more gun celebrations like half the other NBA players get to do. He's going to go with a grenade and cover his ears as he runs away.
Joe,
That is fun. Epic trolling that I entirely endorse. I also entirely endorse Zach Edey grabbing 19 rebounds. He is on a tear, doing some things that we haven't seen.
Okay, I'm going to cut him off right there because I don't really care about Zach Edey. Tony, the Celly, man. Come on, what are we doing here?
Dude, does he not get it? What? That is an insane. I could not believe it. I truly, Jalen Wells is the lead here. That sucks. That's a BS foul. I'm glad KJ Simpson got ejected for that.
Yeah.
I mean, what, Ja, dude? What are you doing? What are you doing?
It's dumb. And the fact that like Joe said, all the other players get to do it,
it's
whatever. Like
harm. It's
Wesley
so
Matthews does the he's not in the league anymore, but he has like the bow and arrow thing. Like we know there are violent and violent adjacent type of celebrations. It's fine. It's different when you've literally been suspended from the league for having an actual gun.
No one complained when Isaiah Stewart got an extra game from the Pistons Wolves scrum because of his history. That's how
Right.
it works. That's
Yes.
how it's supposed to work.
And then upgrading your gun to grenades. Come on.
Dude.
Like, what are we doing? Do you have to? Why? Why? And I'm not even saying it's necessarily right or wrong. It's just sort of like, you don't have to do this. You're making it harder on yourself and your teammates.
I cover the Pacers, so I can, like, I see Tyrese Halliburton, his thing is skipping. Pascal Siakam does this little TikTok dance. Like, there's lots of ways you could celebrate shots.
Yeah, he had the gritty a few years ago. Just go back to that. It's fine.
That was cool.
Everybody
That's like what I thought of the Grizzlies as for a while.
Just point to somebody in the crowd. I don't know. There's just like the players are thinking way too hard about the celebrations these days. I feel like I'm old man yelling at cloud right now, but this one fell flat for me a little bit. All right, wrapping up the rest of the night. The Warriors blow out the Suns. No Kevin Durant for Phoenix. Not that it would have mattered anyway, because the Suns literally don't want to be playing basketball anymore. This one was over from the jump. The Warriors
The Suns have been relegated to this point of the podcast, and it's absolutely the right thing to do.
Warriors Suns. That's what we had, and we're moving them to just sort of the end of the thing recap here. We're talking about them, and within seconds of talking about the Pelicans, whose season's been over since like 2 weeks into the season. That game was over quickly. Finally, the Nets take care of the Zionless Pelicans, and the Clippers, in a big win, beat the Spurs, not because they beat the Spurs, but they hold on to the 6th seed by winning this game. If they had lost to the Spurs, and this game was a little bit closer than they probably wanted to in the first half, if they had lost to the Spurs and the Warriors with their win, that would have flipped them in the standings. But the Clippers, they hold on to that 6th seed at least for another night. That wraps up Locked On NBA Game Night. Every game, every night. Make sure you're subscribed on YouTube and wherever you get your podcast. For Tony East, I'm Wes Goldberg. This has been Game Night. Thanks for hanging out with us.